I wasn't supposed to be home yet. That was the part that kept rattling around in my head. If I hadn't left work early, if I hadn't felt that little nagging urge to check on the kitchen renovation, I would have never known. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and my firm's biggest client had canceled our meeting last minute. I could have stayed at the office, caught up on emails, maybe hit the gym before heading home at my usual time. But instead, I found myself driving toward the house, a rare burst of free time making me feel almost giddy. Emily, my wife, had been obsessed with this kitchen remodel for months. Granite countertops, a farmhouse sink, state-of-the-art appliances. She planned it down to the last drawer handle. She swore it was all for us, but I'd barely had a say in the process. Honestly, I wasn't even sure I liked the new layout. Still, I figured I'd stop by and check on things. Maybe surprise Emily. But as I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something odd. The contractor's truck was there, which wasn't unusual. What was unusual was that the house was completely silent. Normally, I'd hear some drilling, hammering, maybe a few curses thrown around, but today, nothing. The second thing that struck me was Emily's car parked in the driveway. She hadn't mentioned she'd be home this early. I stepped out of my car, my stomach twisting in a way I couldn't explain. Something wasn't right. I walked up the front steps, the door already unlocked. A deep breath, then I stepped inside. At first glance, everything looked normal. The plastic sheeting still covered parts of the hallway, and there were dust footprints leading toward the kitchen. But then I heard it. A low murmur, voices coming from the back of the house. I followed the sound, my footsteps cautious, careful. The voices became clearer. One of them was Emily's, the other a man's. I froze just outside the kitchen, my heart hammering against my ribs. The tone of the conversation, too soft, too familiar, sent a cold shiver down my spine. I stepped closer, just enough to peek around the corner. Emily was leaning against the kitchen island, her face flushed, her fingers tracing slow circles on the countertop. Across from her stood the contractor, Adam. Tall, broad shoulders, the kind of guy who looked like he spent more time at the gym than actually working. His arms were crossed, a smirk tugging at his lips. Emily was smiling back at him. "What are you going to do about it?" she teased, her voice low, playful. He took a step closer, his fingers brushing against her wrist. I felt the ground tilt beneath me. What the hell? I wanted to charge in, demand an explanation, throw the guy through a window, but I forced myself to stay put. Rushing in now wouldn't give me answers. I needed to understand what the hell was happening. So instead, I waited. I listened. "Relax," Adam said, his voice dripping with amusement. "I got everything under control. You just have to trust me." Emily exhaled, a soft laugh escaping her lips. "You make it sound so easy. Because it is easy. If you do exactly what I tell you, Paul will never suspect a thing." Paul. My name. They were talking about me. My blood ran cold. I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug into my palms. This wasn't just some harmless flirtation. Something else was going on, and I was about to find out exactly what it was. I should have barged in right then and there. Should have made a scene. Knocked Adam's teeth down his throat. Demanded Emily tell me exactly what the hell was going on. But I didn't. I stood there, frozen in place, listening to my wife and this contractor whispering about me like I was some oblivious idiot. It took everything in me not to storm in and flip that damn kitchen island over. Instead, I stepped back, silent, careful. My mind raced. What the hell had I just walked in on? Emily wasn't exactly the flirty type. Sure, she liked attention, liked feeling admired, but this was different. This was secretive. This was planned. Adam's words echoed in my head. "If you do exactly what I tell you, Paul will never suspect a thing. Too late, buddy." My mind screamed for me to go back in there, to force the truth out of her. But something held me back. I wasn't just going to react. No, I needed to understand what I was dealing with. I turned away and left through the front door, as quietly as I had entered. Back in my car, I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. I wasn't even sure where I was driving. I just needed to move, to breathe, to think. I ended up at a bar a few miles away, the kind of place where nobody asks questions. I ordered a whiskey neat and tried to wrap my head around what I had just heard. They were hiding something. That much was clear. But how far had it gone? Was this just some harmless flirting? Was it worse? My gut twisted at the thought. And then another possibility hit me. Maybe this wasn't just about Emily sneaking around behind my back. Maybe Adam wasn't just some smooth-talking contractor. Maybe there was something bigger at play. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my messages, and found Emily's texts from earlier. Just a couple of updates about the renovation. A random miss you thrown in there, like she hadn't just been standing inches away from another man. Looking at him like that. I opened up our home security app next. The kitchen camera had been disconnected. That was the moment my blood ran ice cold. Emily and I had cameras installed throughout the house when we first moved in. She was paranoid about security, at least that's what she told me. She wanted to feel safe whenever I wasn't home. But now, the one camera that would have shown exactly what had been happening in that kitchen was suddenly offline. Not an accident. Not a glitch. Someone had turned it off on purpose. And I was willing to bet it wasn't me. I sat there in that dimly lit bar, staring at my screen, my mind putting together pieces of a puzzle I didn't even know I was working on. Emily had taken the kitchen camera offline before I walked in. She hadn't expected me home this early, which meant she knew what she was doing was wrong. She didn't want me to see. I downed my whiskey in one burning gulp, my stomach twisting into a knot. I wasn't about to go back home and play the clueless husband. No, I needed answers. And I needed them now. I pulled up Adam's company website, scanning through the About Us section. Nothing special. A small team, mostly subcontractors, with Adam listed as the owner. His phone number was right there. I stared at it for a long time before pressing call. It rang twice before he picked up. "This is Adam." I forced my voice to stay even.
"Hey, Adam."
"It's Paul." A slight pause. "Paul."
"Hey, man."
"What's up?" I could hear the forced casualness in his tone, like he was trying too hard to sound normal. "Just wanted to check in on the renovation," I said smoothly, swirling the empty whiskey glass in my hand. "Everything going according to plan?" Another hesitation. "Yeah."
"Yeah, man."
"Everything's good. We're making great progress." "You at the house right now?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer. "Nah," he said quickly. "Just left a little while ago. Wrapped up for the day." Liar. My grip on the glass tightened. "How's Emily?" I asked, my voice steady. "She liking how things are turning out?" Another pause. I could practically hear the gears in his head turning. "Yeah, she seems happy with it," he said finally. "She's been really involved, making sure everything's just right. I bet she has." I let a small silence stretch between us before I said, "Good to hear. I think I'll work from home tomorrow. Get a better look at things myself." Another pause. Then, yeah, sure. That works." His voice was careful now, guarded. He knew. He knew I was starting to put the pieces together. And that made him nervous. Good. I ended the call and leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. Tomorrow I was going to be home all day. And if Adam and Emily were hiding something, I was about to find out exactly what it was. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I wasn't tired. Oh, I was exhausted. My mind was a whirlwind of possibilities, each worse than the last. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the rhythmic breathing of the woman who was supposed to be my wife, my partner, my person. Emily slept like a damn baby. No tossing, no turning, no sign of the guilt I desperately wanted to see. Was I losing my mind? Maybe I was overthinking this. Maybe the hushed voices, the missing security footage, the way Adam spoke on the phone. Maybe it was all just a coincidence. Or maybe I was married to a lying, cheating snake. By the time the sun started to rise, I had made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her yet. No accusations, no dramatic fights, no flipping the damn kitchen island over, even though that was still on the table. No, I was going to be patient. I was going to gather proof. Because if Emily really was sneaking around with Adam, I wasn't just going to call her out on it. I was going to destroy her. At exactly 7:45 a.m., Emily sat across from me at the breakfast table, sipping her coffee like nothing was wrong. I was thinking I'd work from home today, I said casually, buttering my toast. Emily froze for half a second. Just half a second. If I hadn't been watching her so closely, I might have missed it. Oh, she forced a smile. I thought you had a big client meeting. Got moved. I took a bite, keeping my expression neutral. Figured I'd stick around, see how the kitchen's coming along. It's been your project, but, I'd love to be more involved. There it was again. The slight hesitation. The flicker of panic in her eyes before she covered it with another fake smile. That's great, she said, stirring her coffee a little too aggressively. Adam's supposed to come by later, actually. Maybe you two can talk about the final details together. I almost laughed. Oh, I was looking forward to talking to Adam. By noon, I was sitting in my home office, pretending to work. But in reality, I was glued to my security app. The other cameras, the ones Emily hadn't thought to mess with, were still rolling. At 12:37 p.m., Adam's truck pulled into the driveway. At 12:39, Emily met him at the front door. I turned up the volume, straining to hear. Their voices were low, cautious. Paul's here today, Emily muttered, her voice tight. He's suspicious. My stomach clenched.
Adam siket.
Yeah, he called me last night. Asked a bunch of questions. Think he knows? Emily was quiet for a beat. Then softer, she said, I don't know. I clenched my jaw so hard my teeth ached. They were hiding something. I watched as Adam followed Emily inside. I didn't move from my chair. I wanted to see where this was going. I switched to another camera feed. The living room. Emily led him in, glancing toward the hallway, toward my office, like she was making sure I wasn't coming out. I could hear my pulse in my ears. Then Adam reached for her. And Emily, my wife, the woman I had spent nearly a decade of my life with, didn't pull away. She let him touch her. She let him lean in. And I swear to God, I nearly blacked out. I had my proof. The problem was, I had no idea what the hell to do next. At 2 p.m., Adam finally left. At 2:15, Emily poked her head into my office. Hey babe, she said, her voice light. I'm running out to the store. Need anything?
Ister her.
She looked normal, casual, like she hadn't just let another man put his hands on her in my own house. I forced a smile. Nope, I'm good. She left, and the second I heard her car pull out of the driveway, I moved. I stormed out of my office, straight into the living room, the place where she and Adam had stood, whispering like two damn criminals. I pulled out my phone, played back the footage, and then I noticed something I hadn't before. Adam had his phone out, recording. I frowned, rewinding the footage, looking closer. He wasn't just touching her. He was filming, but not just her. The room. He wasn't capturing some steamy moment for later. He was getting something else. Blueprints. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just about an affair. Adam wasn't just screwing my wife. He was up to something bigger, something worse, and I was going to find out exactly what it was. I sat there, staring at my phone, trying to make sense of what I had just seen. Adam wasn't just recording Emily. He was recording the damn kitchen, the cabinets, the new appliances, the placement of the island. Why? I replayed the footage again, slower this time. His phone lingered on the blueprints Emily had taped to the wall. The ones she insisted had to be perfect. His camera panned across the space like he was cataloging every inch of it. It didn't add up. If this was just some sleazy affair, why was he recording like a damn insurance adjuster? My gut told me there was more to this than my wife sneaking around with a contractor. And I was going to get to the bottom of it. Emily wasn't back yet. I had time. I walked into the kitchen, my skin crawling knowing they had stood here, whispering their secrets, thinking I was too dumb to catch on. The blueprints were still taped to the wall. I stared at them, looking for something, anything, that might explain why Adam was so interested in them. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Just a basic renovation plan. But then I noticed something odd. The cabinets. They weren't just standard storage space. The dimensions were off. I grabbed a tape measure and checked. The drawings listed them as 12 inches deep, but in reality, they were nearly 18 inches. 6 inches of extra space. A cold, unsettling thought crept into my mind. Hidden compartments. I ran my fingers along the inside of the new cabinets, feeling for anything unusual. My pulse pounded as I tapped against the back panels, listening for a hollow sound. There. A soft, unnatural echo. Something was behind the panel. I grabbed a screwdriver from the toolbox Adam had left behind and wedged it into the seam. Took a few tries, but with enough pressure, the back panel popped loose. My stomach dropped. Inside the hidden compartment were stacks of crisp, unmarked bills. Not just a few, thousands. And next to the money, a small, black USB drive. I just stood there, gripping the screwdriver, my mind racing. What the hell had I just found? This wasn't just a simple affair. This was something else. Something bigger. Something dangerous. Adam wasn't just screwing my wife. He was using my house for something shady as hell. I grabbed the USB and pocketed it. Then I carefully put the panel back, making sure it looked untouched. If Adam was hiding something here, I needed him to think I hadn't found it yet. I needed to play dumb. Emily came home 15 minutes later, humming to herself as she walked through the door, a grocery bag in each hand. "Hey, babe," she called, kicking the door shut behind her. "What have you been up to?" I forced a smile, stepping out of the kitchen. "Just working." She walked past me, heading straight for the fridge. My eyes followed her every move, my mind a tornado of questions. Did she know about the money? Did she know what Adam was up to? Or was she just a pawn in something even worse? I had to find out, and I knew exactly where to start. That night, after Emily went to bed, I sat at my desk with the USB plugged into my laptop. There was only one file on it, a video. I clicked play, and within seconds, my entire world shattered. I clicked play. The video was grainy at first, the kind of low-quality footage you get from security cameras. The angle was tilted slightly, like the camera had been hidden somewhere high up. At first, I wasn't even sure what I was looking at. Then the image cleared, and I felt my stomach drop. It was Emily. She was sitting on our damn kitchen counter, legs crossed, wearing that same little sundress she had on earlier in the day. She was smiling, laughing, completely relaxed. Then Adam stepped into the frame. I clenched my jaw so hard I thought my teeth would crack. The timestamp on the video? 3 days ago. I watched in horrified silence as Adam leaned in close, his hand casually brushing against her knee. Emily didn't flinch, didn't pull away. In fact, she leaned into him. And then she said something. I turned the volume up, my pulse pounding. "You sure you can handle this? You know Paul, he notices everything." Adam chuckled, running a hand through his hair. "Don't worry about Paul. He won't know a damn thing until it's too late." "Too late? Too late for what?" Emily sighed, tilting her head. I don't want this blowing back on me. You promised it'd be clean."
Adam grinledi.
"It will be. Once the job is done, we both walk away happy. You get what you want, I get what I want, and Paul? Well," he trailed off, smirking. Emily laughed. I slammed my laptop shut, my hands shaking. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just my wife sneaking around behind my back. They were planning something, and whatever it was, I was the target. My entire body felt like it was on fire. I had spent years building this life with Emily, believing we were in this together. And now, she was plotting against me. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I needed more information. I needed to know what their endgame was before I made my move. Because now, this wasn't about catching them in an affair anymore. This was war. I spent the rest of the night watching the video over and over, memorizing every detail. The way Adam looked at her. The way Emily knew what was happening but still played along. She wasn't just some clueless housewife getting swept up in an affair. She was in on it. By the time the sun came up, I had a plan. I was going to let Emily think I didn't know a damn thing. I was going to play dumb. And then, I was going to burn their whole world to the ground. I sat there for hours, staring at the black screen of my laptop, my mind an inferno of rage and cold calculation. Emily wasn't just some unfaithful wife. She was an accomplice. And Adam? He wasn't just some sleazy contractor sleeping with a married woman. He was planning something. Something big. Once the job is done, we both walk away happy. The job. My house. Me. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Emily laughing, Adam smirking, their little secret weaving a noose around my neck. By the time the sun came up, my plan was set. I wasn't just going to confront them. I was going to let them bury themselves first. And when they thought they had one, I'd rip the ground out from under them. I spent the morning acting normal, smiling, kissing Emily on the cheek as she sipped her coffee like she wasn't planning to gut me from the inside out. I made sure she left the house first, watching from the window as she drove away. Then I grabbed the USB. The video wasn't enough. If Emily and Adam were conspiring against me, there had to be more. More messages, more documents, something that would tell me exactly what I was dealing with. And I had a pretty good idea where to start looking. I left the house and drove across town, keeping an eye on the rearview mirror. Emily didn't know that I knew. But Adam? He was smarter than her. He had that look in the video, the kind of look a man has when he's done this before. A man like that? He'd be careful. But so was I. Adam's office was nothing more than a rundown rental unit attached to an old warehouse. Not exactly the empire of a successful contractor. His truck wasn't there. Good. I picked the lock because I had picked up a few skills in my younger days and slipped inside. Dust, coffee stains, and stacks of papers covered his desk. But it was his laptop that interested me most. I tried the usual, passwords with his name, birth year, password 123. Nothing. Then I noticed the sticky note on his monitor. E+A0821. You dumb mother. I typed it in. The desktop loaded instantly, and what I found made my blood run cold. A folder labeled Project Black. I clicked it open. Inside, blueprints. Not just for my house, for 7 other homes. Every file had detailed notes, hidden compartments installed, assets stored, transfer scheduled. Transfer? Transfer what? I kept scrolling, my stomach twisting. Then I saw it. A list of names. Mine was on it. Right next to it, bold letters, final phase, 1 week. Final phase. I had no idea what the hell Adam and Emily were involved in. But I knew one thing. If I didn't stop them, I wasn't just going to lose my money. I was going to lose everything. I copied every single file onto the USB and wiped the history before locking the place up again. I needed help. Someone who knew how to dig deeper. Someone who could figure out what kind of game Adam was playing. And I knew exactly who to call. Jonathan Griffith. My best friend. My corporate lawyer. And the one man I trusted with my life. I drove straight to his office, gripping the steering wheel so hard my fingers went numb. When I walked in, his assistant barely had time to greet me before I stormed into his office. Jonathan looked up, startled. Paul? What the hell? I threw the USB onto his desk. Plug it in. He frowned but did as I said. The moment the files loaded, I watched as his face darkened. What the hell is this? He muttered, scrolling through the blueprints. My house, I said. And apparently, I'm on some kind of hit list. He leaned back, exhaling sharply. This isn't just about Emily cheating, is it? I shook my head. No. This is something else. And I need to know exactly what the hell is going on before it's too late. Jonathan nodded, already pulling up contacts on his phone. I'll call my guy, he said. You're right. This isn't just an affair. This is criminal. I swallowed hard, my pulse thundering in my ears. Emily thought she was going to take me down. She thought I'd roll over and let it happen. She had no idea. She had no idea that she had just declared war. Jonathan's expression was unreadable as he scrolled through the files, his fingers tightening on the mouse. This is bad, Paul. No S******, I muttered, pacing his office. But what exactly am I looking at? Jonathan exhaled sharply, his lawyer brain already working 10 steps ahead. From what I can tell, Adam's been using your kitchen renovation as a cover for something much bigger. These blueprints? They're not just renovations, they're modifications. Hidden compartments, false walls, reinforced flooring. He gestured at the documents. This isn't some amateur operation. This is a stash house setup. My stomach clenched. A what? A place where criminals hide things. Money, drugs, weapons, anything that needs to disappear off the grid. Your house and these other houses are being converted into storage units for something illegal. I gripped the edge of his desk. So you're telling me I've been sleeping in a goddamn crime scene? Jonathan nodded grimly. Looks like it. I ran a hand through my hair, trying to steady my breathing. I wasn't just being cheated on. I was being used. Emily wasn't just sneaking around. She was helping Adam turn our home into a F***and vault****. Okay, I said, forcing myself to think. So they're hiding something in my house. How do I find out what before they move it? Jonathan tapped his desk. That's where it gets tricky. If you tear the place apart, they'll know you're onto them. If you wait too long, they might move whatever it is before we can expose them. I clenched my jaw. Then we don't wait. We set a trap. Jonathan raised an eyebrow. You're thinking of flipping this on them? I'm thinking of ruining them. A slow smile spread across his face. Now that's the Paul the first no. That night, I went home and pretended everything was normal. Emily greeted me at the door with a peck on the cheek, like she hadn't spent the last few weeks conspiring against me. Long day? She asked, setting plates on the table. You have no idea, I murmured, slipping into my seat. I watched her carefully. How relaxed she was. How she had no idea her entire world was about to come crashing down. We ate dinner talking about meaningless things. The kitchen renovation. A neighbor's new puppy. Some stupid Netflix show she pretended to like. And then, right as she took a sip of wine, I said, Adam called me today. She froze. It was barely a reaction. Just a flicker in her eyes. The kind you'd miss if you weren't looking for it. But I was watching. She set her glass down carefully. Oh, yeah. He wanted to go over some final details for the kitchen. I tilted my head, feigning curiosity. Said he needed to come by alone tomorrow to finish up a few things. Emily's fingers tightened around her fork. Did he say what? Nope. I shrugged. Seemed pretty insistent, though. Almost anxious. She forced a chuckle. Well, you know how contractors are. Always finding one more thing to fix. I smiled. Yeah, one more thing. I let her sit with that for a moment before casually adding, I told him I'd be home all day to watch him work. Emily paled. Just a fraction. But I saw it. She swallowed. Oh, that's good. I almost laughed. I had her. The next morning, I left for work. In reality, I parked a few blocks away and waited. At 11:06 a.m., Adam's truck pulled into my driveway. Emily let him in. I waited 5 minutes. Then I followed. The front door was unlocked. They were too comfortable, too cocky, too convinced I was a clueless idiot. I stepped inside silently, moving toward the kitchen, and that's when I heard them. He's getting suspicious, Emily whispered, her voice tense.
Adam scoffed.
He's a businessman, not a detective. We just have to get through this week. After that, it won't matter. I edged closer. Emily exhaled. I don't want him to get hurt. I clenched my fists. Unbelievable.
Adam laughed.
Come on, Em. You knew the deal. Once we finish the job, Paul's out. You get what you wanted, I get what I wanted. Everyone wins. Emily was silent. And then she said something that almost made me lose my cool right there. I just didn't think I'd actually have to go through with it. Go through with what? I peered around the corner. Adam was in the middle of the kitchen, crouched down, prying open one of the new cabinets. And inside, a black duffel bag. I saw crisp stacks of cash, at least hundreds of thousands. And underneath the money, a gun. My blood turned to ice. Adam zipped up the bag and hoisted it over his shoulder. We move it tonight. Then we're done. Emily hesitated. And Paul?
Adam siket.
We'll handle it. It won't be messy. I had heard enough. I stepped forward. Funny, I said, my voice eerily calm. Because I love messy. Emily screamed. Adam whirled around, his face draining of color. Paul. I swung before he could finish. My fist connected with his jaw, sending him crashing into my kitchen island. The duffel bag dropped to the floor, spilling cash everywhere. Emily shrieked, backing away. Paul, wait. I turned on her, breathing hard. Wait. You were about to let this piece of kill me. Adam groaned, struggling to get up. I grabbed the closest thing, a heavy-ass cast iron skillet, and smashed it into his ribs. He hit the floor, wheezing. Emily's hands trembled. Paul, I swear, I didn't want. Shut up. My voice was ice. I pulled out my phone and called the cops. Emily's eyes widened. No, Paul, please. Adam tried to scramble for the gun, but I stepped on his wrist, pressing down until I heard a sickening crack. He screamed. I leaned down, staring him in the eye. Game over, hole. Sirens wailed in the distance. Emily sobbed, her perfect little world crumbling around her. And I smiled. The sirens grew louder, screaming through the neighborhood like a war cry. Adam was still writhing on the floor, clutching his broken wrist, his face contorted in agony. Emily stood frozen, her hands over her mouth, eyes wild with panic. Me? I had never felt calmer in my entire life. I could see it now. Every moment of betrayal, every whispered plan, every time they had laughed at me behind my back. But the tables had turned, and I was going to watch them both burn. The front door burst open. 2 cops stormed in, guns drawn. Drop any weapons and step back. I raised my hands, stepping away from Adam. He's got a gun in the bag, I said, nodding toward the duffel. One officer moved to secure Adam while the other cuffed Emily. She screamed. Wait. No, you don't understand. Paul, tell them. I wasn't. I turned to her slowly, tilting my head. You weren't what, Emily? You weren't planning to rob me blind? You weren't going to stand by while Adam got rid of me? Tears streamed down her face. I was scared. He made me. Adam let out a weak, breathless laugh from the floor. Oh, come on, Em. Don't play innocent now. Emily's head snapped toward him. Shut up. Just shut up. But it was too late. One of the officers glanced between them. Yeah. We're gonna need both of you to come down to the station. Emily turned back to me, pleading. Paul, baby, please, tell them I wasn't part of this. I exhaled, shaking my head. I have video evidence of you and Adam conspiring against me. I motioned to the officers. Check the USB in my pocket. The officer retrieved it, then turned to his partner. Get this to forensics. We might be looking at conspiracy to commit fraud, theft, and attempted murder. Emily collapsed. Her knees buckled as the weight of reality crashed down on her. Paul, please. I never wanted you to get hurt. I swear. I crouched in front of her, my voice calm. That's the thing, Emily. You didn't care if I got hurt, as long as you got what you wanted. She sobbed, but I had nothing left for her.
No anger, no sadness.
Just a cold, empty satisfaction. The cops dragged Adam and Emily out of my house, stuffing them into separate cruisers. Neighbors had gathered outside, whispering, pointing, recording. The perfect wife, the handsome contractor, the husband who saw it all coming. I watched as Emily's face twisted in humiliation. Her perfect little world shattered for everyone to see. And Adam? He just stared at me through the cruiser window, his jaw clenched. I smirked. Not so cocky now, huh? It took 2 weeks for the full extent of the mess to unravel. Adam was running a money laundering operation, using construction jobs to stash illegal cash and contraband in hidden compartments. My house and several others had been part of his network. Emily? She wasn't just sleeping with him. She was helping him, signing off on expenses, covering up missing materials, making sure I never got too suspicious. And when I started asking questions, Adam decided I was a liability. Emily agreed, but instead of disappearing quietly, I turned their whole operation into a crime scene. Emily took a plea deal, ratting out Adam in exchange for a reduced sentence. She'll be sitting in a cell for the next 6 years.
Adam?
25 to life. As for me, well, let's just say I came out on top. I divorced Emily immediately, cutting her out of my life like a tumor. The money they tried to steal, seized by the feds. But thanks to Jonathan, I got my business back. I even got a new kitchen, courtesy of Adam's company assets being liquidated. And the best part? The freedom. No more Emily. No more lies. No more wondering if the person sleeping beside me is plotting my downfall. Just me. And a future I get to build on my own terms. And as I stood in my brand new kitchen, sipping a whiskey, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I had won. And that was the best revenge of all.